Good evening. Welcome to C-State News. I'm Tyrone Heppard, and here's a look at your world tonight. We begin in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where a gunman wielding 2 pistols opened fire on an elementary school Thursday morning, killing 11 and wounding 13 before he eventually turned the guns on himself. Police say that the 23-year-old was a former student of the school. During the incident, he stopped to reload several times and was eventually cornered in a stairwell and exchanged gunfire with the police, where he was wounded before he shot himself in the head. Among the dead were 1 boy and 10 girls who were all between the ages of 12 and 14 years old. The gunman, identified as Wellington Menezes de Oliveira, gained access to the school when one of the people who worked there recognized him as a former student. Today, we lament what happened with the defenseless children at Realengo, said the spokeswoman for Brazilian President Dilma Rousseff. This type of crime is not characteristic of our country. All of us here, men and women, are united to repudiate this type of violence. Coming out of Beijing, Chinese officials said that on Thursday they're investigating celebrity artist and social critic Ai Weiwei for quote-unquote economic crimes. Ai, 53, was detained on Sunday night at an airport by border officials after trying to board a flight heading to Hong Kong. It's believed that his detention is just a part of a huge crackdown on quote-unquote progressive thought that the government has been implementing over the last few years. To my understanding, Ai Weiwei is suspected of economic crimes and the Public Security Bureau is conducting an investigation according to the law, said Hong Lei, a foreign ministry spokesman. China is a country under the rule of law, and relevant authorities will work according to the law. Traditionally, the term economic crime is used by Chinese government to charge someone who they consider to be a political threat to the country. Such crimes can include a failure to comply with business and tax regulations. According to security officials, Western governments have been calling and ordering the release of the world-renowned artist, but Mr. Hong says that other countries have no right to interfere. In Tripoli, Libya, Human Rights Watch announced on Thursday that forces loyal to Colonel Muammar Gaddafi have detained 4 of the foreign journalists working within the country. The journalists were identified as James Foley, who works for the Global Post news organization, American freelancer Claire Morgana Gills, and 2 photographers, Manu Bravo from Spain and Anton Hamrel from South Africa. Requests have been made to the Libyan Foreign Media Office for the release of James Foley and the other journalists detained by the government forces, said Philip S. Balboni, the president of Global Post. We appeal to the Libyan authorities for the immediate and safe release of these journalists. The news comes after 4 journalists for the New York Times were released after being captured by Gaddafi's forces 3 weeks ago. The group said that while they were in custody, they faced, quote-unquote, days of brutality at the hands of their captors. Global Post has said that they have been working side by side with Human Rights Watch to contact the families of the journalists and to ensure that they're all released safely. And finally, tonight we end on a lighter note in Minamisuma, Japan, where the mayor of the town, Katsubonu Sakurai, sought aid for his demolished city in an unusual fashion and received an overwhelming response. The town, which only had a population of 75,000 originally, was virtually abandoned once the government told people to stay inside due to the radiation leaks from the critically damaged Fukushima Daiichi nuclear reactor that was located only 15 miles away. On March 24th, Mayor Sakurai sent a request to the international community via YouTube in the form of an 11-minute long video. He asked for people to help his city recover from the devastation of the earthquake and the tsunami that took place earlier that month. As of Wednesday, people from around the world are still calling Minamisuma City Hall and asking what they can do to help the devastated community. We were left isolated, said Sakurai. Suddenly, the world was extending its hand to us. Reports coming out of the area say that shops and gas stations are starting to open up, and there are people using the highways and thruways once again, a sign that the mayor's desperate plea for help was heard and answered. Well, that's all for your international news. We're going to pass it over to Mike with your campus news. Mike?